Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming back to another episode of the Your Gray Matters podcast. I'm Jason, along here with my dad, Neil. Hey, Dad, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Well, we had another member of the family on today, your brother, my uncle, Russell, who's a very, very accomplished mechanic, which is probably understating it. What
Yes.
what did he talk to us about today?
We really had a great podcast. He talked about where we are in the car industry now. We touched on new technologies. He floored me when he explained how every technology with the cars is causing pollution. It can be electric and can be combustion engine. This was so fascinating.
Yeah, we're gonna need somewhere to put all these 2-ton electric batteries when those cars start to retire, and you know, they're going to end up in places, unfortunately, where lots of things end up that probably shouldn't. The other thing I found fascinating and relatable was when he was talking about how some people, certain people, seem to dislike female mechanics. And when I worked for Apple, we would get that all the time when people would, not all the time, but frequently enough that people would refuse to deal with female technicians, but we didn't truck that at Apple and made it clear that if they didn't want to deal with that person, then they were welcome to show themselves the exit.
Exactly, as it should be, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah. Unfortunately, we still see this nonsense in our world. I see it in the finance business, and I have no understanding of why it makes any difference at all. You're just looking for a quality person to get the job done for you.
that's right. That's right. Well, that just touches on a couple really intriguing, interesting things that we learned this episode. So why don't you sit back, relax, take a load off, and then when you're done, hit the like, subscribe, and comment. All right. Here we are with Russell Silvert on automobiles.
Thank you, everybody.
Welcome to Your Gray Matters, the podcast that unveils the miracles already amongst us. Here, we believe that the human mind cannot be defeated. Tune in to discover the fascinating people with extraordinary stories, innovative products, and groundbreaking services. With your host, Neil Silvert, who's earned his gray hair and still has use of his gray matter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Your Gray Matters podcast. We hope that you had a great week. I know we did. And today we're really excited because we have a person who I've known his whole life, and he's known me most of his life. And he is my brother. And you're probably thinking, oh, okay, why does he have his brother on? Because I'm going to introduce you to one of the most remarkable, talented people who's worked in car industry for a while. And I don't know about you, but the car industry kind of drives me nuts. And I thought that we'd take a look at it today. Welcome, Russell. Welcome to Your Gray Matters podcast.
Thank you, Neil. I'm very excited to be on. I'm very excited for us to spend some time together.
Wow, this is really, really good. Hey, everybody, let me tell you about my brother's bio. Just the way he starts, though, will give you an idea of his commitment and his funniness. So it says it all started March 18th, 1961. Hey, Russ, when were you born?
March 18th, 1961.
And you went on to say within one day, I thought, I'll look at all these mechanical things around me and I wondered how they work. That would describe you. This started a quest for Russell to take apart anything and everything automotive so that he could learn how it worked and to maybe make it better. And I often laugh because we seem to come from the same parents, and yet my mechanical abilities stopped at, I never had it, but I have good looks. He has spent many years in the industry, and 63 years later, he has so much hand-on experience, so many years of school, both as a student and a teacher. And really, he seems to have mastered the science behind this great industry. He has terrific licenses in the auto service and in the truck and coach Ontario industry. And he's in school all the time. But what I love best about Russell his company, which is in Keswick and is called Text2 Auto Repair and Auto Parts Inc., is that he provides a terrific service to his community. And I've found a lot of people who are in the trades are doing just that. They're giving wonderful things back to their community. He, as I said, is a teacher. He continues to be a student. We've asked him to come on today to talk about this crazy car industry. He's seen a lot of technological changes, as we can all imagine, and we all have. But Russell actually believes that the world is on the brink of an incredible change of environmentally neutral vehicles using technology from our past into the future. Russell, welcome to the Your Gray Matters podcast.
Thank you, Neil. It's hoping it's going to be a lot of fun. I see you always have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, well, we do have a lot of fun here. Our podcast is about bringing very cool things that exist in this world and great people. And what you do today is great because actually I'm really fascinated by this changing car industry. But let's talk a little bit about you in the beginning. I actually can believe from about the minute that you were born, you were looking at stuff that you could take apart. But I wanted to ask you, how old were you? I seem to recall Mom and Dad got a color TV and you thought you might do some with it. You want to talk a little bit about that and how old you were?
Well, I was about 9 years old, and it was actually the old black and white TV in the basement, and it had stopped working. So I removed every tube using pieces of paper that I wrote numbers on that I put on the bottom of the tube and in the corresponding hole, took all of the tubes to the store to test them all, found the one that was not working, and got a new one. I begged the man for it as I didn't have any money, and he actually gave it to me. When I got home, however, my father had gotten home and tore all the pieces of paper out of the little holes, the numbered paper, because he didn't know what the heck I was up to. Needless to say, the TV never worked again. I tried putting tubes many times and got lots of smoke, but no screen.
I have to say, at 9 years old, you were already, though, into the puzzle business, as I call it. And I know that you were interested in driving. And I was just wondering, I think you took Mom and Dad's car for a drive. How old were you the first time?
Well, actually, I was about 13. And I not only took their car, I took your 77 Toyota quite a bit. Something you never knew.
Nor did I want to. But I also think you backed a car out of our driveway into the neighbors when you were a whole lot younger, if I remember.
I was playing with our big Chrysler Fury 2, and I was showing someone how I put it in neutral, roll it down the driveway backwards, push it back into place, and do it again. He was unable to push this 2 tons of car up the driveway, and it rolled out of the driveway into the neighbors, into their garage door. Which I ran behind the house and pretended I didn't know what was going on.
And how old were you?
I think we were about 11 or 12.
Oh, my God. You know, prior to you doing this, Mom and Dad never had any gray hair. Let's go on to the car industry. I think it's fair to say that people have been in love with cars since before the 1900s. I was looking up just when people started to make cars. And I think cars become a part of people's personality, or they think that it's a part of their personality. What is this attraction to cars, Russell?
You know, it's an extension of who you are. I know some folks that have to have fast, snazzy, colorful, somewhat subdued, almost hidden, an all black car with blacked out windows. They don't want to be seen. Some folks I know measure themselves by their vehicle and the size of their vehicle. It really is, your personality can be shown through the vehicle you drive. However, a great deal of people where I live, it's just transportation. It's a tool so that they can feed their families and house them. So the actual look of the car these days isn't as important to many people. They want some creature comforts and they want it to get where it needs to go and back safely, economically, reliably. And it's really changing. And Neil, if you recall, in the late 60s and early 70s, those cars that we had then were total expressions of you. Now we're conditioned to buy the next greatest, best item. We follow the trend, and the trend is, thank God, changing as the cars are changing due to environmental reasons.
So you're saying that people's reason for buying cars has changed drastically.
It used to be a convenience, and now it's beyond a necessity. Without it, in some of the large cities, you can still survive. As we migrate out of large cities, without it, our economy stalls because everybody stalls. So it's more important now that the vehicle can do the job you need it to do instead of looking good while doing it.
So let me ask you, Russell, that's a very interesting point that you just made. How would you, having been in this industry for so long as a professional, how do you think what is the current state of the car industry? I find it actually expensive and confusing, and there are some miraculous technologies, and it also causes lots of fights among where our Earth is going as a planet, and it all depends on the car that you drive and what powers it. So tell me, what do you think of the current state of the car industry?
They're trying to convince the large corporations and your governments are trying to convince you that certain technology is better than other technology, obviously, and that's not accurate. All vehicles, every conveyance you can think of, pollutes. The pollution from manufacturing it, the pollution from destroying the land to get the ingredients you need in the recipe of making it, and then at the end, when it is finally used up. EVs, we're told, are wonderful. Batteries are recyclable. Most of the car can be recyclable. The problem is the cost to pollution to the earth of building that EV is horrendous. The fact that EVs weigh more than an internal combustion vehicle, the wheels, the tires wear down at twice the rate. So you have rubber pollution. And although rubber on tires is biodegradable, it takes a long time. And that rubber breaks down to a base element that actually wasn't where it is going to rest. Rubber doesn't come from your general fields or beside the highways of the 400 series highways. So it builds up. We have to clean it. But what do we do with it? We try and do more recycling with it. The equipment that cleans it up is highly polluted. The carbon making crazy. So an EV is not without making pollution and not continually being a polluter. So that's one of the aspects people have to realize. It's false that it's a pollution-free vehicle. No vehicle is pollution-free. The only pollution-free vehicle, there was a car company that sold PZE vehicle, part-time zero emission. When you read your owner's manual, it clearly stipulated when the vehicle is turned off and parked, it is at that time a partial zero emission vehicle. The moment you get in and use it, it's a polluter. So we have technology from the past that we can turn to that can reduce the pollution levels after manufacturing. They all pollute while being manufactured. They all pollute while being recycled. So in the interim, while you're using it, there's aspects of certain vehicles, because they weigh more, they pollute in one way because vehicles consume certain types of fuel. Electricity doesn't come without creating pollution.
Exactly.
And what do we do with that pollution is the biggest problem. We put it in heavy water in barrels and dump it in the ocean or dump it in mines, deep mines, and hope, well, that'll never come back and bite us. We have radiation to deal with. If we have a problem with one of these hydro generating stations. So everything has a potential for high pollution. Everything has high pollution. One of the things we could do is go back in the past and use some technology from the past that is a reduction in pollution, easy for us to manufacture, to store, and we have the infrastructure across the world already, is to go back and use ammonia-powered vehicles. It's a chemical reaction. We take nitrogen, we take hydrogen, and through a heavy rod, steel rod, we can do a chemical reaction where we can bind the nitrogen with the hydrogen. We compress it to a liquid. It's at the same pressure roughly as propane, which we all have propane barbecues, or a lot of us do. We have a tank that we take to the gas station. They pump it up at home. It's safe, and you run your barbecue. So the ammonia can be on board in a tank. And what happens in the system leading to the combustion chamber is we separate the nitrogen and the hydrogen, and we burn the hydrogen. Therefore, our exhaust is nitrogen, which we have to control. We don't want to put too much out there that wouldn't normally be in the atmosphere. We can control that. And we burn the hydrogen, and you have to burn it at 100% rate, which was the challenge. Certain car companies have now come up with engines and electronics to control that and actually do that. The big byproduct, which is nitrous of oxides, which is a particulate matter that nobody wants, and it's poisonous. If you've accidentally touched your wiper in the morning and see the black dust on your windshield, that would be nitrous of oxides, a great deal of. Well, we have capabilities in your existing vehicle, a catalytic converter that breaks down nitrates of oxide. You would just have to have that in the vehicles. What comes out of the vehicle would be nitrogen and water, H2O. So we also have the infrastructure around the world, because we use ammonia in so many different things, from refrigeration to clean. I mean, we use it for everything, that the infrastructure already exists to house it. Every car dealer would simply need to put a 10 filling station fuel stop at each of their dealerships, and there would be the fill stations you require around the globe. It's a great alternative that the major oil producing countries of the world 3 to 5 years ago outlawed its use. But certain car companies, like Toyota, went ahead with development anyway, and now have engines that run at that 100% we require.
So it exists, but it's not really in the market.
No, but I think it's one of the alternatives that's going to gain some great traction in the next decade.
So, Russell, what I'm hearing you say is we seem to be so focused on internal combustion, our everyday cars, versus hybrids, versus EVs, but you're saying there's something else going on here that could be much better for our planet, and whomever is in charge is essentially trying to hide it from people. Is that a fair statement?
I wouldn't say not yet to that extent, because most people don't know about ammonia. Most auto manufacturers have probably done some research, but haven't put anything into doing it. It's not mainstream enough. They also have investors in their companies that may also be invested heavily in fossil fuels. So their likelihood of changing the fuel to something that their major investors, would pull out, that's a big concern. Convincing some folks, too, that here's this fuel we can use, when most people think of ammonia as something they use to clean with only, and that it can be quite dangerous mixed with other chemicals. Well, it was developed to make a poison that killed many people in the First World War. So it could also be used by unscrupulous people to do a lot of damage. It's the main component of fertilizer. Remember Oklahoma and what fertilizer can do. So,
And I certainly do remember that.
so terribly, there's the considerations too of protecting everyone when you bring forth something new and some people don't want to use it or scared by it, don't understand it. And it's just one of many alternatives that we have or what is coming along. And remember too that in the early 1900s, there was a competition between internal combustion and electric vehicles.
Oh, is that right?
When we
Okay.
found great reserves of fossil oil, the world shifted immediately to use internal combustion. Can you imagine today where we'd be, our technology, if we had gone electric then? And there were,
Yes. Wow.
and there were, I'm not going to say hundreds, but there was close to 100 manufacturers back in the day of electric components, many of those being electric motive power. So think too that people see the belching train going down the track. That belching diesel engine is not powering the train. That belching diesel engine is turning genset, making electricity, and the train runs on electricity. So that
Wow.
hybrid, that's really one of your first hybrids. They're heavily polluting. We'll get to them eventually. But as electric technology increases, as we delve deeper and deeper into it, I can't imagine in 50 years how perfect we'll be with electric vehicles if we continue on that route. At this point, though, there's other options until we get there. Please remember that in 1909, when you wanted to fill up your car, you went to the hardware store and bought a container of gasoline. That wasn't as refined as we have today. We didn't have a fuel station on every corner. That came about after the First World War. So as more people began to drive, because we needed to commute, we needed to do business in other areas, we couldn't wait for a slow process of getting our goods across the country. We had to find a better way of when the goods came into a train station or a boatyard, of getting it actually into the cities and into the stores. You know, remember that if you have something at this point in your life, anything you can look at around you came on a truck. It didn't mysteriously come into a store any other way. So if you have it, a truck brought it. So give trucks a little bit of room. They don't stop as fast as you do, and they're carrying everything you need.
That's right. And a person who has a family and has a life and is just working hard. And I think sometimes, not to digress, drivers forget that that's a person driving that truck. And they have the same wishes, the same goals and needs as all of us driving cars. Russell, that is so fascinating. You were just saying, thank you. It's almost like what goes around comes around, because you're talking about something that started now essentially more than 125 years ago. And based on what you're just telling us, we're circling back, which is really so interesting to me. I heard a guy the other day on the radio. I won't pretend to tell you that I know who he was, but he made a couple of interesting comments. He said with the coming new technologies in cars, the industry for mechanic is going to change drastically. In fact, he suggested that where right now we can't find enough mechanics, I think you told me that there may not be a future for mechanics. I actually found that hard to believe. But he also said that if we do go strictly electricity, we'll actually see the end of gas stations and mechanic shops. What do you think about the future of the industry?
Okay, so he's absolutely wrong. Who's going to maintain these vehicles? They still have steering, brakes, tires, wiper systems, heating, cooling systems. They still have motive power, whatever that motive power may be. You're going to need people who can fix these things and maintain them for you as they get so intricate. You're not going to be able to do anything in your driveway. In most places, it's not lawful to do anything in your driveway as it is. But it means that if you're going to become a tradesperson, you're probably going to have to take extra schooling above your grade 12. You're going to have to go to college, and you're going to have to get a deeper understanding of science and math. And the apprenticeship's going to take longer. It's based now on 5 years and 9,000 hours of work experience as an average before you can write your exam and you can get your license. So that's going to increase. We know, though, that through age and time, that a lot of current technicians are going to retire very shortly, 7 to 10 years, I being one of them. So when that happens, if we don't promote the young to go into this and other trades, we'll come to a standstill. Not everybody can rewire their home or plumb their home or build their home. So we need to do better at having these young folks want to go into the technical trades, the labor trades. It's also that the wages for people doing this type of work is going to rise dramatically. As you're taking more education, buying more tools, your life becomes something that you're studying all the time to stay on top of. The car dealers, as they are, cannot now or in the future maintain and repair all of the vehicles that are on the road. You would wait months just to get in to get a light bulb changed. But when it comes to independents, like myself, and when it comes to technicians in the trade, we're actually only going to grow. And we need more of you out there to come into it. This trade is great because it's fulfilling to work on something and fix it and figure out what's wrong with it. When some people have a problem seeing a woman or a girl working on their car, which I've had young ladies working for me and had people not happy with them, let me remind you that your car does not know your gender. The shop should not care about your gender. The tools that are being used do not know your gender. They don't care. The shop owner shouldn't care. The customer shouldn't care. All the shop owner should care about is a competent person working for them, and the bottom line, make them an income. So when it comes to gender, it's ridiculous. It was ridiculous 100 years ago. It's ridiculous now.
Pretty well in any area. Thank you for that. I want to bring up maybe something that's on people's minds. So I'm going tomorrow to get an oil change in my internal combustion engine car, and I'm at the point where my warranty package says we have to check the brakes to see what's going on. And I'm assuming that they're diligent and they're wonderful. But people are slammed right now by the cost of everything anyways. A loaf of bread. You know, we just saw a study. A guy bought groceries prior to COVID at a Walmart. He actually went back just a week ago, rebought exactly the same products at the same Walmart. So when he bought the first order, it was $124. When he checked out this week, it was over $400. And that was shocking. But what we're seeing now is that it's not only the cost of the car, and I'm not making comment on that, but the cost of keeping it running properly is expensive. It really, really is. And as you just said, wages are going to go up. That means that cost of parts and everything else related to it will go up. I filled up my car yesterday, only 3/4 of the tank, already had a quarter, and it was over $60 for a small mid-size, and that was at Costco. Talk to me about the value of keeping your car going safely versus the impact of what it costs.
So there's two trains of thought that's always been when it comes to vehicles. People either do preventative maintenance on their car so that they know what's coming up, they can save for it and have it done. You're absolutely right. The price of parts is astronomical. I personally think it's unwarranted. I think that those that are manufacturing and carrying the parts have inflated the prices dramatically, and they really aren't substantiated. The prices should be much lower. If you look at what your service provider charges, you'll find that their increase on their labor rate really hasn't changed. So your higher price in most cases is the parts and supply. So if you're going to do preventative maintenance, catch it before it becomes something large. You can actually save money. If you wait until your car has a catastrophic failure and you're sitting on the side of the road waiting for a tow truck for 3 hours, never mind the cost of repairing the car is higher because it really broke. It's your time lost. How much is your time worth while you can't get to work or you can't? Now, I know people work remotely. I don't think working from the driver's seat of your car broken down the side of the highway is as comfortable as in your office at home. So we see it a lot. Sadly, we got quite a few tow-ins. We're in a very growing neighborhood. So we're having a lot of new people coming in who were used to living in a city, and if the car needed to be in the garage, they took the bus. And now if the car needs to be in the garage, they're not going to work. And they're having a rough time. And some of these folks have never done a preventative maintenance ever on their vehicle. They've never looked.
It's dangerous.
It's very scary. And when they come into the shop and you point out what is absolutely necessary for safety, for life sake, it's very expensive. And they're shocked and they're hurt financially, and they don't have it in many cases. So educating folks to take care of your car by preventative maintenance, have it in the shop multiple times a year, know what's coming up on you. It is very expensive in a lot of cases. So you have the chance to save a month or two down the road to get something that could be very catastrophic repaired before it becomes so. But that's the concept that a lot of folks it's hard to do. You have everyday life. Now, on top of that, you're saving for something in a vehicle that seems to be running fine today. One of the great things that when we went computerized is we have that good old check engine light. Pops on and tells you, oh, I have a problem. So some folks ignore it. Some get upset by it. Some get scared. Ultimately, though, they finally get into a shop. They get it looked at. They pay to have it looked at. Then they have it paid to be fixed. Because the computer systems are so good, the car's driving relatively well, that when you pick up your car and drive away and paid $600, well, all you know is the light's out. It's still driving the same way. Most people also don't know the difference in what the light means. It's very important. Every car in the world is the same. If the light pops on and is solidly on, it's saying, I have a headache. I really need you to take me in soon and have me look. If the light comes on and it's flashing at you, you need to pull over as soon as you can in a safe location and shut the car off and call a tow truck. That flash,
Wow,
it's indicating a catastrophic failure is imminent. It's a pretty smart system. So I want to make that very clear. Solid light, get me as soon as you can to the shop. Flashing light, shut it off before you're looking for a new car. And it does happen.
Russell, this is so helpful. I thank you for this. And I hope that everybody will pay attention to this, because safety first. And you want to have your car get fixed rather than have to buy a new car, or God forbid, have an accident or something. So thank you for that, Russell. Also, as we're starting to wind down, I want to ask you about, we did talk about emerging technologies. We talked about the way you see powering cars in the future. I'm just wondering, is there anything in advancements that are turning you on? And I'll give you an example. I know that I can take my car, it's a 2023, and I drove down the highway and I didn't have my feet on the pedals and I didn't have my hands on the steering wheel. It was like 1 centimeter away or something, and it scared the hell out of me. But my car was driving itself. Tell me, what do you think about these advancements, and is there some that you're looking forward to?
I'm really glad you asked me that, because given my age at 63, given that I have an almost 92-year-old mother who now needs so much help and care because she can't drive around. She was so smart. Before someone told her she had to, she realized it was time to stop driving. She didn't realize,
Right.
and she says, she didn't realize how difficult everything would become when she couldn't drive or didn't drive. I am so looking forward to the perfection of autonomous drive. I'm hoping by the time I'm 75 or so that it's there. Can you imagine your freedom the rest of your life of telling the car, get in the driveway, we're going shopping at whatever store, be ready. And it drops you at the door. It pops its trunk when you come out. Someone helps you throw the stuff in, and you say, okay, you damn thing, take me home. It takes you home, you get your stuff out, and then you tell it, get in the garage. It's more obedient than your children or your dog. It's going to be wonderful once they perfect it. And remember that when we first started, power windows, power steering, power locks, we went to vehicles that actually had windows. They used to not have windows. Everybody was skeptical. Everyone had issues, every manufacturer, with these things not working well. And then they were perfect. Look your steering in your car, Neil. It's electric. Most people don't realize that their steering is electric. Most people just get in their car and go. They don't realize that the steering mechanism, the power steering, is an electric servo motor, multiple, that allowing you to steer. If that goes out, you virtually can't steer. That's a drawback to it. It was not perfected when it came out in the late 80s. It's absolutely perfect today. Very few, very, very few ever have an issue. Eventually, autonomous drive will become that advanced that you will not have these issues, that the occasional accident or problem that we have today. I'm really looking forward to have my mobility, to have my freedom by having an autonomous vehicle. People should not be scared of this. You should be looking with relish for what it can do in your future.
And have the mustard to use it. I have to thank you for that. And I know that there are other technologies coming. I'm 70, as everybody knows, and everybody who pays attention. But I really am looking forward to the day where I don't have to drive anymore. And it's interesting because I just got the first cataract out. We've talked about that on the show. Next week, the second one's coming out. But here's what's fascinating. The doctor, after my first eye, actually went to the MTO online, changed my license, no more glasses required, and I got my new license yesterday. So I'm only raising it because it's fascinating how changes in technology all over our planet, the purpose of this show, actually, great things that exist that maybe you're not aware of. And now just getting cataract surgery, I didn't have to go to the MDO. She just went online and changed it all. I love all this stuff. Russell Silver, you've been a blessing in my life since the day you were born, but
Thank you.
I know that you have played an incredible role in the welfare of people's lives through your, not only your company, but your generosity, your ridiculously wonderful sense of humor. And I'm privileged to have you as a brother, but people who know you are privileged, and to all mechanics, all people working in the technological industries. I thank you all. We hope that you've enjoyed this podcast, everybody. And Russell, I hope that you'll come back in the future and we can continue with this. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you again next week. Drive safely. And when that check engine light comes on, do the right thing. Bye, everybody. Have a great week. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks for watching. If you found it interesting and you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you're ready to subscribe, click right here. And if you'd like to see another episode, click right here. Tell a friend. Send us a comment. Thanks a lot.